Morning, everybody, and how's it, Lloyd? It's been too long that we've been talking about the entrepreneurial brain. We've slacked a bit, but we're keen to get the energy and the flow going again. So,
Absolutely.
thanks for joining me. Yeah. So,
Pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
The entrepreneurial brain is the entrepreneur's framework for democratizing entrepreneurship, and Lloyd and I have been discussing the dynamic and multifaceted states of the entrepreneurial brain, which kind of flow from fear to ignite, to explore, to refine, to transcend. But Lloyd, as you were saying, these are really fluid. There's nothing linear about this. Do you want to elaborate on that a bit? Yeah.
So, I mean, there's certainly we'd like to transition from fear to transcend. With fear being a bit of a starting point and transcend being a little bit of an end point. But there's definitely, as with all human related aspects, there's got to be fluidity. We're going to be up and down as we transition into another state. We might shift back. There might be a little hiccup that we hit along the way that knocks us back. So we've got to be aware that there's significant fluidity as we move through these various states.
Yeah, and I've made the point before that even as an experienced entrepreneur, I still at times encounter fear when a certain new situation or even something that I've worked through before that I didn't enjoy, arises. You can fluctuate on any day from fear to really being excited and really looking to find different ways to get things done, etc. So it's very, very much fluid and dynamic. So
and Greg, I think just to add to that point quickly, I think there's also to take into consideration that we may experience these to different degrees depending on the different sort of tasks or activities we've got on the go. You may be in a fearful state for one thing, while you're in a refine or transcend state in another aspect of your business. And that's also okay.
Yeah, it could be the circumstances, the frame of reference, the previous experience, the people that you're going to meet, etc. Anything can make this fluid. But so over the last couple of weeks, we've recorded a breakdown of each of these. So we've been through fear, we've been through ignite, we've been through explore, and we've been through refine, and we unpacked them using some of these sort of talking points. But today we're going to wrap up with transcend, beyond limits. So let's take that a bit further, Lloyd. So do you want to kick off a bit?
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I think just to as a bit of a precursor, the sort of words that we've got here, we're going to be linking them together because there's a lot of synergy between the words. So I think looking at this concept of transcending, sort of going beyond limits, I think it feeds quite nicely into the idea of transforming. And Craig, as you were saying a little bit earlier, sort of be the change you want to see. Making a marked change and sort of facilitating that change. I think that's really critical.
Yeah, and I think what's critical is having a vision board. So really being bold about that change you want to see and putting it up on a vision board that sets the scene and creates that vision that you want to aspire to and reach to. So we were saying, reach could be like a game of Twister, but to have a game plan that vision board, that supports that vision board, that supports the pathway to that vision board.
Absolutely. Stretching out, grasping for something. It's going to be tricky at times, but as you say, having a game plan in mind, it just helps you along the way so you don't get all sort of tangled up and get in your own way to some degree.
And I guess the key thing with a game of Twister is being able to adapt, but in terms of transcending, actually more being able to experiment continuously, but also move quickly. So accelerate for the new abnormal beyond today. Don't think about the past. Don't think. Don't use linear thinking to try and project the future. Rather start to think about exponentialities, so exponential thinking with an abundance mindset is absolutely critical. So and what happens with exponential possibilities is that the opportunities and the possibilities are increasingly rapid, so they're coming at us faster and faster. We've seen this with COVID. COVID has turned everything on its head really quickly, and who would have thought? So I'm talking too much, Lloyd.
No, that's fine. We let that flow. But I think you sort of took the conversation nicely, from reaching there into the concept of next and exponential. And we'd previously chatted amongst ourselves just that, transform, reach, exponential, and next are sort of slightly more on a theoretical level. And that's why we sort of grouped them together. Transitioning into the next sort of set of concepts, which are slightly more practical considerations. And to just maybe start off there, Craig, on Ascend, about rising, moving up. I know you like the idea of the tenacious entrepreneur, so I'll let you fill in some.
I mean, the point with the tenacious entrepreneurial mindset to overcome obstacles is that you constantly got to be, if you're knocked down, get up again. You've got to be moving forward. You've got to be moving away from linear thinking, and finding a way to, almost wrestle through the challenge so that you're constantly ascending. Because if you're not tenacious, you're definitely not going to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. And I think that just flows so nicely into this idea of not having any limits, finding ways to overcome, not being stuck or controlled or stopped by what may present itself. And that idea of continuous improvement.
Yeah, so if you can strive for kind of, 1% a day, or even 1% a week for that matter, you're going to achieve a hang of a lot. And one of the concepts that we're kind of exploring and promoting quite a bit now is the concept of disrupting yourself to grow. So if you want to grow exponentially, if you want to grow without limits, you better be thinking about disrupting yourself, thinking about where your mindset or your practices or your linear thinking or your experience is actually holding you back. It requires you to disrupt yourself so that you can scale. Yeah. So
I'll let you carry on there with scale, Craig, because I know that with exponentialities and the economies of scale, they're certainly more your forte.
Yeah, so I mean, traditionally, economies of scale is what businesses strove for, but the exponentialities are more kind of the way of the future in terms of scaling. So the exponential canvas has this notion of scale and ideas. The SCALE acronym standing for staff on demand, community and crowd, algorithms, leverage, assets, and engagement. And there'll be a separate video where we'll unpack that quite a bit more. But it's a completely different notion of scaling. It's scaling through leveraging the fact that, and I'm going to jump to democratization, the fact that the resources become increasingly accessible, increasingly available, and increasingly affordable to everybody, which is what democratize implies. And the reason for that is that the price performance of resources is getting increasingly cheaper, actually. So your price is going down while your capability is increasing. And that notion of leveraging exponential possibilities so that you can, almost anybody can start a business today because all of the resources are so accessible. Obviously, that's debatable in Africa, but let's democratize internet access. Let's democratize education. Let's democratize everything that we need to leverage exponential possibilities.
Which, I think just really sort of brings it all together when we start talking about a community. With this whole democratizing entrepreneurship community, it's about sort of opening up these ideas, sharing these ideas, but really grow in the community. You know, you talk about leverage and exchange value. It's just extending the reach that we all have. The more people that we have in our community, the better.
And the more we all learning from each other and participating in sessions like this, where we, you know, share our insights and our learnings, and the more we share that, kind of to create collective intelligence that everybody can benefit from. That's how we're democratizing entrepreneurship. So awesome. Thanks, Lloyd. I enjoyed that. I hope you did. And
absolutely.
We've got some more lined up, but not for today. We're done for today. Thanks a lot.
All right, great. Thanks,
awesome.
Craig.
Okay. Cheers, We'll chat soon.